This is the story of how Meghan Markle might return to the United Kingdom, not out of love for family or duty to the crown, but for a Netflix payday. Sources say she can be bought for the right price, and Netflix wants cameras rolling when the prodigal Duchess returns to British soil. But is this about reconciliation? Or is it just another way for Meghan to monetize her royal connection while her father lies in a hospital bed recovering from having his leg amputated? In December 2025, as Thomas Markle recovered from having his leg amputated in a Philippines hospital, barely able to speak because of his 2022 stroke, struggling with the trauma of losing a limb at 81 years old. Sources told the Daily Express something revealing about his daughter that exposed her true priorities and motivations. Meghan can be bought for the right price. The source continued with even more damning details, saying she will hold her tongue and dip lower in the curtsy to Kate, but she's premeditated and in it for her children's future, and nothing beats royal status. Read that again carefully, because Meghan Markle, who left the UK in 2020, claiming she was mistreated by the royal family, who gave an interview to Oprah Winfrey, making serious allegations against the royals, who has spent 5 years in California building her brand separate from the monarchy, would apparently come back if the money is right and the deal is good enough. The source added what sounds like a compliment but is actually a warning. Never underestimate the power of a cunning, driven woman. That's not praise for Meghan's business acumen or her determination, and that's a warning about someone who would hold her tongue, meaning suppress her real feelings and fake respect she doesn't feel. And who would dip lower in the curtsy, meaning show false deference to Kate, the Princess of Wales, all of it performance, all of it calculated, none of it genuine reconciliation or authentic emotion. But here's the key detail that reveals everything about Meghan's mindset and priorities. Nothing beats royal status. Despite everything Meghan has said publicly about how terrible her time in the UK was, despite all the allegations and complaints and claims of mistreatment, despite the tears in the Oprah interview and the dramatic stories in Harry's book, sources say she recognizes that royal status is more valuable than anything she can create on her own in America, and that recognition drives her willingness to return if the price is right. The Daily Express report included another crucial detail that transforms this from a family reconciliation story into a business transaction if they do return to the UK. Netflix wants to be there and follow the return home as the prodigal son and his wife return to English soil. This isn't about family reconciliation or healing relationships or making amends for past behavior. And this is about content creation, about monetizing drama, about turning personal relationships into entertainment products that can be sold to subscribers. Netflix, which has paid Meghan and Harry millions of dollars for their production deal, wants to film the return, wants to capture the drama and tension and emotional moments, wants the awkward reunions and difficult conversations. All of it captured on camera for subscribers to watch and analyze and discuss. They want the prodigal son narrative, the biblical reference to someone who leaves, wastes their inheritance, and returns home hoping to be welcomed back. But the question is whether Meghan and Harry's return would be genuine like the biblical story, or performed for cameras. Think about what this means for the royal family and for any possibility of genuine reconciliation, because Meghan wouldn't be returning to see family or make amends or heal relationships. She would be returning to create content that Netflix can monetize, to generate drama that can be packaged and sold, to turn every interaction with the royal family into entertainment that subscribers pay to watch. Every conversation with William, every moment with Kate, every interaction with King Charles, every tearful reunion or awkward encounter would be filmed and packaged for consumption. The royal family would essentially become unpaid actors in Meghan and Harry's Netflix production characters in a reality show they never agreed to participate in, and given how Meghan and Harry have portrayed the royals in previous projects. The Oprah interview that made unsubstantiated allegations Harry's book Spare, that revealed private conversations, their Netflix docuseries that presented a one-sided narrative. There's little reason to believe this portrayal would be fair or accurate or give the royal family any opportunity to present their perspective. While reports about Meghan's potential return focused on money and Netflix opportunities, reports about Harry's plans revealed something even more concerning and potentially damaging to the monarchy. He wants to establish a rival royal court to compete with Prince William, to create an alternative power center within the British establishment, to build his own operation that rivals his brother's in scope and influence. Sources told Rob Shooter of Shooter Scoop that Harry has been playing the long game and wants to operate in the UK on his own terms. And the source said, "This isn't just about security or having a place to stay when he visits, and this is about creating a separate royal ecosystem, about building a court, about establishing an alternative center of royal power." Another insider added that Harry could re-establish a London base, hire a permanent staff, and restart Sussex-branded operations, creating a parallel royal operation that competes with William's for attention, influence, and public support. The fear within royal circles, the concern that's being expressed by people close to the situation, is that this would create a dueling monarchy, where William has his court and Harry wants his, where instead of one unified royal family representing the crown, there would be competing factions, each with their own staff, their own operations, their own public relations strategies, their own agendas, and their own vision for what the monarchy should be. This isn't unprecedented in royal history, because there have been periods when the heir to the throne and other senior royals had rival courts that competed for public attention and influence. But those situations were always damaging to the monarchy, as an institution always created confusion and division and always weakened the crown's authority and legitimacy. The source continued with an ominous prediction. "This isn't about a return to the family, and this is about competing with them, and the security decision is just the first domino, and once it's in place, Harry can quietly expand his influence without anyone really noticing until it's too late." That last line, "until it's too late," suggests that Harry's plan is to gradually build up a UK operation that rivals William's, using the security arrangements as the foundation and justification. And by the time the royal family realizes what's happening and understands the threat, Harry will have established himself as an alternative power center that's difficult to dislodge or counter. At the heart of Harry's plan to return to the UK is the issue of security, because Harry has been fighting for years to have taxpayer-funded police protection reinstated when he visits the UK. And he's lost multiple court cases on this issue. The courts have consistently ruled that Harry, as a non-working royal living abroad who chose to leave his royal duties, doesn't qualify for automatic police protection at taxpayer expense. But in December 2025, something changed that raised serious questions about government interference in the judicial process, because Harry appealed directly to the Home Secretary, bypassing the courts and the normal legal processes. And the Home Secretary ordered a reassessment of Harry's security risk. This is highly unusual and potentially improper, because Harry lost his legal challenges fair and square. The system worked as it was supposed to. The courts made their decisions based on law and precedent. But then, Harry went around the system appealing to a government minister and got a different result. Critics, including Lady Colin Campbell, who has been vocal about this issue, have called this an abuse of power and a flagrant display of self-importance and entitlement. Lady C pointed out that Harry's aunt and uncle Princess Anne and Prince Edward are working royals who actually perform duties for the crown, and they're children of a monarch. And they don't get the level of security Harry is demanding for himself as a non-working royal living in California. The suspicion that's been raised by multiple observers is that Harry and Meghan are using her racial background as leverage, playing what Lady C calls the race card, to achieve their objective of having taxpayers fund their security bills. Lady C stated that she's been reliably informed that Harry and Meghan are still playing the race card behind the scenes, maintaining that their lives and their children's lives are endangered because of the minimal amount of sub-Saharan African blood she has flowing through her veins. Lady C was particularly scathing about this claim, noting that Harry's children are lily white in appearance, and that if Meghan and Harry followed proper protocols, gave required notice for risk assessments, and stayed in royal residences when visiting the UK, they would have adequate security without special arrangements or taxpayer funding. What makes the UK return story even more interesting and revealing about the state of Harry and Meghan's relationship is that they apparently aren't united on this plan. They're not on the same page about whether to return, and they're pulling in different directions about their future. Rob Shooter reported that sources close to Meghan say she has zero intention of hopping back across the pond, that she's done with that life, that the kids are staying in the US, period. End of discussion. One source said bluntly that she's made it very clear she and Harry are done with that life. The kids are staying in the US, period, and end of discussion. While another source said that Meghan is planting roots in America, The UK can keep its corgis and ceremonies, and she's focused on her own life now. But sources close to Harry tell a completely different story, saying Harry is setting up a rival royal court and wants to spend significant time in the UK. So what happens when Harry wants to be in the UK and Meghan wants to stay in California? Angela 11, Prince Harry's biographer who spent significant time with him researching her book, suggested that the marriage is under strain. And she noted that Harry wanting to establish a UK base separate from Meghan indicates how badly things are going with his marriage, to be blunt, because he don't want to be with her in that mansion. The picture that emerges from these conflicting reports is of a couple pulling in different directions, with different goals, different priorities, and different visions for their future. Harry wants royal relevance and UK presence, wants to compete with William and maintain his connection to British royal life, while Meghan wants California lifestyle and American opportunities, wants to build her brand separate from the monarchy. Harry wants to compete with William and establish himself as an alternative royal figure, while Meghan wants to build her lifestyle brand and entertainment career. Harry wants taxpayer-funded security and official recognition, while Meghan reportedly doesn't care about the security arrangements or is actively saying no to them. The timing of these UK return reports is particularly troubling and revealing about Meghan's priorities because they emerged in December 2025 at the exact moment when Thomas Markle was in a Philippines hospital recovering from having his leg amputated. Meghan was facing intense criticism for not visiting her father, for not calling him directly, for sending a letter through lawyers instead of showing up in person. And her public image was taking a beating that threatened her brand and her business opportunities. Her Netflix Christmas special about family was being mocked for its hypocrisy. Her lifestyle brand was struggling to gain traction, and public opinion was turning against her for her treatment of Thomas. And suddenly, conveniently, reports emerged that Meghan might return to the UK, that she's willing to reconcile with the royal family for the right price, that Netflix wants to film the whole thing and turn it into content. Is this coincidence, or is this strategic PR designed to change the narrative and shift attention away from her abandonment of Thomas? Instead of talking about Meghan abandoning her father during a medical crisis, we're talking about Meghan potentially reconciling with the royals, and instead of focusing on her cruelty toward Thomas, we're discussing her cunning plan to return to the UK for a Netflix payday. Thomas Markle Sr. has been vocal about his belief that everything Meghan does is calculated for PR purposes, that she doesn't do anything unless it serves her interests and her image. He called the letter to their father a PR stunt designed to manage criticism, and he said Meghan is trying to boost her public image after her brand failed, and the UK return reports fit that same pattern perfectly, which is a strategic leak designed to manage perception and create a new storyline that distracts from her treatment of Thomas. The Daily Express source noted that Princess Kate isn't a walkover and could already smell Markle from miles away, which is a remarkable statement that suggests Kate, the Princess of Wales, sees through Meghan's potential return and recognizes it for what it is, a calculated move motivated by money and status, not genuine reconciliation or authentic desire to heal relationships. Kate has been on the receiving end of Meghan's behavior before because reports suggest Meghan made Kate cry during a bridesmaid dress fitting before the 2018 wedding, though Meghan later claimed the opposite in the Oprah interview, reversing the story to make herself the victim. Kate has watched Meghan and Harry make allegations against the royal family. She's seen how they've portrayed the royals in their various media projects, and she's experienced firsthand how Meghan operates. So the idea that Kate would welcome Meghan back with open arms is laughable, and the sources comment that Kate could already smell Markle from miles away suggests Kate is prepared for Meghan's games, understands her tactics, and won't be manipulated or fooled by false displays of reconciliation or manufactured emotions for cameras. As for William, Angela 11 pointed out that he can't stand Harry, particularly because of his rudeness to his wife, and William is the future king, the heir to the throne, the person who will one day lead the monarchy. He's not going to allow Harry to establish a rival court that undermines the institution. He's not going to welcome back a brother who has spent years attacking the monarchy. And he's not going to facilitate a Netflix production that turns the royal family into entertainment. The suggestion that Harry could return and compete with William ignores the fundamental reality of their positions. William is the heir, and Harry is not. William has the support of the institution, and Harry does not. William has public sympathy and Harry has largely lost it, and William has the authority and resources of the crown behind him, while Harry has only his Netflix deal and his fading celebrity. The Daily Express source said Meghan is premeditated and in it for her children's future, because nothing beats royal status, which is Meghan using her children, Archie and Lilibet, as justification for returning to the UK and reconnecting with the royal family. The argument is that even if Meghan doesn't want to reconcile personally, she should do it for her children's sake so they can have royal status and connections and opportunities. But this argument falls apart completely when you consider Meghan's treatment of her own father. Because if Meghan truly cared about family connections for her children's sake, she would have maintained a relationship with Thomas Markle. She would have let Archie and Lilibet meet their grandfather, she would have visited Thomas when he had his stroke, and she would have been there when he lost his leg. But instead, Meghan cut off her father completely and has prevented her children from ever meeting him, from knowing him, from having any relationship with their grandfather. So the idea that she's motivated by wanting family connections for her children is contradicted by her own behavior toward Thomas, and the more likely explanation is that Meghan recognizes royal status has monetary value. That Archie and Lilibet's connection to the British throne is a marketable asset that can be leveraged for deals, for attention, for opportunities, and that's what "nothing beats royal status" really means. Nothing beats the earning potential of royal connections. Netflix has already paid Meghan and Harry millions for their production deal, but the content they've delivered has been underwhelming and hasn't met expectations. Their docuseries got attention, but was criticized for being self-serving and one-sided. Harry's memoir, Spare, was a bestseller, but damaged his reputation and relationships, and Meghan's lifestyle content has been delayed and scaled back, so Netflix wants return on investment. And what could be more valuable content than Meghan and Harry returning to the UK, attempting to reconcile with the royal family with all the drama and tension captured on camera? But here's the fundamental problem with this plan. The royal family would never agree to be filmed for a Netflix production because they have their own media strategy, their own communications team, their own way of managing their public image. And they're not going to become characters in Meghan and Harry's reality show or unpaid actors in their entertainment production. So if Meghan and Harry return to the UK with Netflix cameras in tow, what happens? Either the royal family refuses to engage, making the whole project pointless and exposing Meghan and Harry's true motives, or Meghan and Harry film their side of interactions and then narrate what happened with the royals, creating a one-sided portrayal that the family can't respond to, which is exactly the pattern we've seen before in the Oprah interview, the Netflix docuseries, and Harry's book. At the heart of this entire story is one fundamental question that reveals everything about Meghan's character. Can Meghan Markle do anything that isn't calculated for money, attention, or image management? When her father had his leg amputated, she sent a letter through lawyers with video recording, and when her brand struggled, reports of a UK return emerged. When she faced criticism for abandoning Thomas, suddenly she's willing to reconcile with the royals for Netflix, and everything is strategic. Everything is managed, everything is about perception and profit. The source who said, Meghan can be bought for the right price, wasn't praising her business acumen or her negotiating skills, and they were revealing her fundamental character, exposing the fact that Meghan doesn't do things out of love, loyalty, or principle. She does things when the price is right, when the deal serves her interests, when the opportunity advances her goals, and never underestimate the power of a cunning, driven woman. Sounds like a compliment until you realize it's describing someone who would hold her tongue and dip lower in the curtsy, not out of genuine respect or authentic emotion, but as performance for payment, as calculated behavior designed to achieve a specific outcome. Meghan Markle's potential return to the United Kingdom isn't about family reconciliation or duty, and it's about money, about Netflix content, about maintaining royal status for its monetary value, about Harry wanting to compete with William, and about leveraging royal connections for profit. The timing, coming as her father lay in a hospital bed with one leg, reveals everything about Meghan's priorities and what matters most to her. She won't visit Thomas Markle in the Philippines, but she'll consider returning to the UK if Netflix pays enough, and she won't pick up the phone to call her father. But she'll dip lower in the curtsy to Kate if the price is right. She won't show genuine compassion to the man who raised her, but she'll perform reconciliation with the royal family if it creates valuable content, and Thomas Markle Jr. said, "Whatever it touches dies," and the question now is, will Meghan's return to the UK kill what's left of the monarchy's dignity? Or will the royal family be smart enough to keep her at arm's length and refuse to participate in her Netflix production? For Thomas Markle Sr. Still recovering in that Philippines hospital, the message is devastatingly clear. His daughter will travel across the world for money, but she won't travel across the world for him. And she'll perform reconciliation with people she claims mistreated her if the payment is sufficient, but she won't offer genuine reconciliation to the father who sacrificed everything for her success. The contrast between Meghan's willingness to return to the UK for Netflix money and her unwillingness to visit her father in the Philippines for love reveals everything about her priorities and what drives her decisions. The UK is thousands of miles from California, just like the Philippines is thousands of miles from California, so distance isn't the issue. The UK would require her to face people she's made serious allegations against, people she's damaged with her public statements, people who might not welcome her warmly, so difficulty isn't the issue either. Because visiting her father would be emotionally easier than facing the royal family she's attacked. The only difference between returning to the UK and visiting Thomas in the Philippines is money, and that's the factor that determines Meghan's choices. Netflix will pay millions for content about a UK return and attempted reconciliation with the royals. But there's no money in visiting her sick father, no content value in showing compassion to Thomas. No Netflix special to be made about a daughter finally doing the right thing and being there for her father in his darkest hour. This mercenary approach to relationships, this calculation of every interaction based on its monetary or PR value, this inability or unwillingness to do anything that doesn't serve her financial or image interests, reveals a fundamental emptiness at the core of Meghan's character. She's become someone for whom everything is transactional, everything has a price, everything must serve her interests, or it doesn't happen, and that's not how normal human beings operate. Especially not when it comes to family and people they're supposed to love. The source's statement that Meghan can be bought for the right price is particularly damning because it reduces her to a commodity, to someone whose principles and values and relationships are all for sale to the highest bidder. It suggests there's nothing Meghan won't do if the payment is sufficient. No reconciliation she won't perform if it serves her interests. No humiliation she won't endure if the compensation makes it worthwhile. And that's not strength or business savvy, but rather a profound moral bankruptcy that prioritizes money over everything else. The phrase, "never underestimate the power of a cunning-driven woman," sounds empowering until you realize it's describing someone who uses cunning to manipulate situations, who's driven by self-interest rather than principle. Who would fake emotions and perform reconciliation for payment rather than showing genuine feelings or authentic connection? That's not power in any meaningful sense, and that's manipulation, that's calculation, that's using people and situations as tools to achieve your goals regardless of the harm caused to others. Meghan's potential UK return for Netflix also raises disturbing questions about what other relationships she might be willing to monetize or perform for the right price. If she'll fake reconciliation with the royal family for Netflix money, would she fake reconciliation with her father if someone paid enough? Would she visit Thomas in the Philippines if a network offered her millions for exclusive footage? Would she allow her children to meet their grandfather if it could be turned into valuable content? These questions are disturbing because they suggest that nothing in Meghan's life is genuine or authentic, that every relationship is potentially for sale, that every interaction could be monetized if the price is right. And if that's true, if Meghan really does operate this way, then what does that say about her marriage to Harry, her relationship with her children, her friendships, her public advocacy work? Are any of these things genuine, or are they all just performances designed to build her brand and generate income? The reports about Harry wanting to establish a rival royal court while Meghan wants to stay in California also suggest that their marriage might be under strain, that they're pulling in different directions, that their goals and priorities might not align anymore. Angela Levin's observation that Harry wanting a UK base separate from Meghan indicates how badly things are going with his marriage, raises the possibility that the Sussex brand might be fracturing, that the united front they've presented might be crumbling, and that their different visions for the future might be incompatible. If Harry returns to the UK and establishes a base there while Meghan stays in California building her lifestyle brand, what happens to their marriage? Do they live separate lives on different continents? coming together occasionally for public appearances and content creation? Do they maintain the appearance of a strong marriage while actually living apart? Or do they eventually acknowledge that their relationship has run its course and that they want different things from life? The potential UK return for Netflix also highlights how Meghan and Harry have trapped themselves in a cycle where they need to constantly generate content about their lives, their relationships, their struggles, to justify the millions they've been paid and to maintain their relevance and income. They can't just live private lives because they've sold access to their private lives. They can't just be normal people because they've monetized being abnormal. And they can't just have genuine relationships because they've turned their relationships into content. This trap means that every family drama, every reconciliation attempt, every struggle or triumph becomes potential material for their next project, and that commodification of personal life makes genuine healing or authentic connection nearly impossible. How can Meghan genuinely reconcile with the royal family when any reconciliation would be filmed and turned into content? How can she genuinely reconnect with her father when any interaction might be documented and monetized? The answer is she probably can't, because the financial incentives and content needs have corrupted the possibility of genuine human connection. The timing of these UK return reports, emerging as Meghan faced criticism for abandoning her father during his medical crisis, also suggests they might be strategic leaks designed to change the narrative and manage her image. Instead of talking about Meghan's cruelty toward Thomas, we're talking about her potential reconciliation with the royals, and instead of focusing on her failure as a daughter, we're discussing her business savvy and her willingness to do whatever it takes for her children's future. This pattern of strategic leaks and narrative management has characterized Meghan's approach to media throughout her time in the public eye, and she's consistently used friendly outlets and sources to plant stories that serve her interests. To shift attention away from negative coverage to reframe situations in ways that make her look better. The UK return story fits this pattern perfectly, and it's a distraction from the Thomas situation, a way to generate positive speculation about reconciliation, a method of managing criticism by suggesting she's willing to reconcile with some family members, even if not with her father. But the royal family isn't stupid, and they've watched Meghan's behavior for years. They've seen how she operates. They've experienced her willingness to make allegations and damage reputations. And they're not going to welcome her back with open arms just because Netflix wants content. King Charles, Prince William, Princess Kate. They all know that any interaction with Meghan could be twisted, misrepresented, taken out of context, and used against them in future projects. And that knowledge makes genuine reconciliation nearly impossible, even if Meghan were sincere, which the sources suggest she's not. The fundamental problem with Meghan's approach to relationships, the core issue that makes genuine reconciliation impossible, is that she's demonstrated repeatedly that she can't be trusted to keep private conversations, private to respect boundaries to honor confidences, or to refrain from using personal interactions as material for public consumption. The royal family knows this. Thomas Markle knows this. Anyone who's been close to Meghan knows this. And that knowledge makes people unwilling to let her back into their lives because the risk of being exploited or betrayed is too high. Meghan Markle's shocking UK return for a Netflix deal isn't shocking because she might go back to the UK, and it's shocking because it reveals how thoroughly she's commodified every aspect of her life, how completely she's prioritized money over genuine human connection, how willing she is to perform reconciliation for payment while refusing to offer genuine compassion to her father without compensation. The source who said she can be bought for the right price wasn't wrong, and they were revealing the sad truth about someone who's lost touch with what matters most in life, who's traded authentic relationships for financial gain, and who's trapped herself in a cycle where everything must be monetized and nothing can be genuine. For Thomas Markle, still lying in that hospital bed in the Philippines, with one leg watching reports that his daughter might return to the UK for Netflix money, while she won't visit him for love. The message is clear and devastating. He's not worth enough to her. His suffering doesn't matter enough. His love isn't valuable enough because there's no Netflix deal to be made from visiting her sick father. No content to be generated from showing compassion. No money to be earned from doing the right thing. And that realization that his daughter values money more than she values him might be more painful than losing his leg. Because physical wounds heal, but the knowledge that you don't matter to your child cuts deeper than any surgeon's knife ever could.